येन कर्माण्यपसो मनीषिणो यज्ञे कृण्वन्ति विदतेषु धीराः यदपूर्वं यत्क्षमन्तं प्रजानां तन्मे मन शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु। येन कर्माण्यपसो मनीषिणो यज्ञे कृण्वन्ति विदतेषु धीराः यदपूर्वं यत्क्षमन्तं प्रजानां तन्मे मन शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु. Even the chanting of this gives me a lot of vibes. That mind by which those wise men engage with that mind. These wise men engage themselves in the yagna, the fire ritual. They engage in that fire ritual yagna through a particular method laid down by tradition, laid down by parampara, lineage. That mind, that manasu, by which all the wise men, wise people, engage themselves in the yagna. For that yagna, they use a method. Those methods are laid down by our tradition, also by our Guru Parampara. May that mind which engage itself in the yagna dwell only in auspicious thoughts. This is the prayer. The first verse describes the nature, and also it has described the necessary to make the mind Shuddha and Sukshma and penetrative, getting into deeper. This is the first verse. It has explained us how subtle it is. We know that in the first verse itself. Anything becomes more subtle, it becomes more expansive. Correct? So we know that the need to make the mind expansive, need to make the mind subtle, and need necessary to make it as pure, Shuddha. This verse tells us. First verse has said, what is the need? I reduce the need to one thing, because many will be confused. The need is to make it subtle. It's already subtle. It does not have any gross form. But we made it gross. I told you while explaining the first verse. It is subtle. But with our using it, we made it gross because it is confined to only the gross levels. It is confined to very lower levels of our understanding. It is subtle, but we are using it as gross. So the need is to make it something not new, to make it as it is supposed to. We are not bringing anything new into that. It is already subtle. Realize that subtleness, and so that it becomes expansion. So this verse is trying to explain some kind of a method to make it subtle. The first verse, all of us know, Rig Veda, begins with Agni Mile Purohitam. Yagnasya Devam Ritvijam Hotaram Ratnadhatam. The very first, which is said to be the very ancient text on this part of the globe. In that, the first one, the first sloka is this. Talks about Agni. I offer my very humble prayer to Agni. That Agni is the absolute divine, because it is very absolute divine. It awakens the inner energy. I pray that Agni, which awakens my inner energy, and thus it gives the prosperity. What more is required? All of our craving for that, isn't it? Prosperity. Who don't want prosperity? Everybody wants. So it's the very first sloka verse is this. So I offer my humble prayer to Agni. That humble prayer offering to Agni is called Agni. It suggests Rigveda mantra that the first offering to be made to Agni itself. And Agni then distributes the offerings to other gods, deities, who in turn bless the aspirant with prosperity and peace of mind. Agni is the mediator. Havyavahana, Havyavahaka. It carries our prayers and take it to the concerned deity. That deity is energy. That energy that's in the universe, that connects our prayers to that energy. That's meaning. That's what it is. And when that get connected to that energy, the result comes. Other words, when we get connected to energy by some means, don't we get that energy? Sure. It's a very common understanding and common sense. Agni connects us to those divinities. The divinities are energies, the cosmic energies. Different forms of energies are there. When it's connected, we get that energy. The planet Earth, some call it is Karma Bhumi, and it is more apt to call it as Tapo Bhumi, because it's a continuous action. Tapaha is action, whatever the actions. In that Tapo Bhumi, the old karmas, once again I say, not the Prarabdha karma, I always underline. All our karmas are continuously burnt. Are we happy? We are happy if it's burnt. At the same time, the new ones are created. This Tapo Bhumi Every minute, all our karmas are burnt on one hand, and on the other hand, new ones are created. This is a continuous cycle. As long as this continuous cycle exists and continues, how can we realize that cycle? As long as the karmas are created, karmas need not be action, thought. When thought is a karma, we have been discussed about that thought and desire many times on many occasions. As long as that karmas are created, the thoughts are created, that thoughts have to born again and again to reap the fruits of that thoughts. And suffering is no ending at all. So this verse advises to get busy, to get engaged in performing the yajna. I tell you what yajna it is, so that we can move beyond the cycle of karmas and not beyond the cycle of karma. If karma or a thought is referred to as seed, as long as seed in its life form, it sprouts, results comes. That we call as our continuous thought process. It's all life. We are capable of sprouting and becoming a tree, gives fruit, whatever you want to. But this inner, the yajnas, what we are supposed to become busy in performing that. It goes beyond the cycle of karmas. And the seeds, it roasts it. The roasted seed cannot sprout. Because yajna has fire, That's why I use the word roasting it. I didn't use the word frying it. So, how to go beyond the cycle of karma and roast these seeds, thoughts, so they don't sprout. It is easy. And you may laugh at me. What this man tells everything easy, easy, easy. Yes, I am very truthful to my statement. If it's something difficult, I tell you it's difficult. Yes, I agree. It's difficult to understand. But I don't say. The practice is difficult. So, to roast the seeds, what we require? We require fire. We should invoke the fire. Where? Is it in altar? In Yagnakunda? No. Within. And perform the inner sacrificial rites, inner offering the havisu. We invoke the fire within and offer the havisu also. In the process, in the method, guided by, shown by one's Guru Parampara. It's because even to learn a small thing, we need someone to teach. So we need somebody to teach us how to invoke fire and offer the sacrifice in it, so that the one can go beyond the cycle of karma, because the seeds get roasted in that fire. If one can do that, that kind of yagna, it can burn, yes, all painful experiences. It can burn all the sorrow. It can burn all the source of misery possible. So one should engage himself in that yagna, invoking the fire within and offering the sacrifice, so that it can burn all that. What is that seed? Which has got the content of many things. Slowly sprout when the given opportunity. Like when a seed sown in the proper soil, it starts very next day itself. That is nothing but all our painful experiences, sorrow, and source of misery. Once we engage in that fire yagna, I think these seeds will not give us that painful experience. I'm talking about yagnas, not the worship. If you ask me, should we not do worship? Yes, that also uses some kind of a relaxation, calmness. But what this verse is talking about, not the worship which is only outward, but the yagna mentioned in this verse in Vajrasaneyi Samhita of Shukla Yajurveda is the inner worship. The most possible, the best way to offering to divine. This inner worship is the best way of offering to ourselves to divine. And at the same time, this is the inner yagna or antaryaga is very, very, very subtle form of offering to God, offering to divine. That is not fruits, not cloth, garland, no. It has nothing. It is subtle. There's no gross there. Whatever be the outward form of worship, whether it is offering havisu in yagna or offering puja to our any divinity, is a gross form. Yes, even that offerings is also amount to good karmas, good actions. We don't deny that. Even that worshipping externally with gross and offering harisu in yagna, they are good deeds, good karmas. It also have certain results. It also bestows good karmas, but it will not help in self-realization, which only the inner form of worship, known as antaryaga or antaryagna, can bestow on us. There are many forms of inner yagnas. Let us not know all the forms of yagna. Among that is one important thing is which we can easily practice. Not difficult. It doesn't require straining your body. Do some exercises. Nothing. I tell you, one form of the taken. There are many forms. Today we are discussing about a simple thing. Our attention. Attention is always mind. When I say our attention, I am referring to the attention of the mind. So fast the time is going, is brought to the navel center, Manipura, which is the presiding deity is Agni. It is believed by our ancient scholars that there are 72,000 nadis that carry the life force. Yes, this is a point to be noted. In this opinion, there are hardly any other text differs it. Whether it is a Samaya Tantra or Kaula Marga or Patanjali, Sankhya Yoga, whatever the number of you go on giving, writing down, but none differed in this particular opinion. 72,000 nerve centers, which are called nadis, they carry the life force. That life force carrying energy, that nerve centers, nerves, are all emanates from the navel center. The subtle nadis, the energy centers, 72,000, they emanate from the navel center. Of course, there are even more subtle. Even our neurology and psychology has accepted it. There are many more, even more neurons present here. I didn't complete my sentence. Keep you alert. We know that the maximum number of neurons, that's why it's called neurology. We believe it's in the brain. Not true, sir. The Manipura has more number of neurons than the brain. Please make a note. I watch for it and stand by my statement. Maybe a challenge to neurologist, but it is true. With a continuous practice, we can gain mastery over that navel center, Manipura Chakra. Once we get the mastery over Manipura Chakra, which is very, very, very easy, because even a normal human being, without any practice of yoga or pranayama or japa, etc. also, they will be operating at Swadhisthana and Manipura level. They may not go up, but definitely it will be operated here. When we can mastery over that navel center Manipura, we can easily burn the seeds of those thoughts, karmas, those habitual patterns of which is the cause of those thoughts getting birth again and again. Of course, this also offers us many health benefits. We can get through this practice. And Manipura Chakra is the one which assists in maintaining good health of the entire body, because it has connection with all the body organs, particularly what we call vital organs like kidney, lungs, liver, stomach, heart. And this fire in Manipura also aids digestion and controls the digestive fluids. This is all physiology. For the brain to operate properly, Manipura has to work properly. Most of us suffer from physical and mental illness, and we say it is due to stress. This stress gets accumulated and converted into toxins in various parts of the body. You know, I'll take today another 20 minutes because I'm in the mood to complete this. Bear with me. Give me cooperation. Because I may lose that string. I'll stop it here. I must continue. We all suffer from illness because of that. Accumulated toxins in various parts of the body. I tell you, this is all our experience. Once we are stressed, though we have a wonderful lung, very, very healthy lungs and heart, we cannot breathe deeply. Yes. The moment we are stressed, our breath cannot go deep. We always breathe from the above the novel. And the breath feels stuck there. Above the, many of us, without stress also there are many who doesn't know how to breathe. See, the natural phenomena that God has given us to breathe, to live. Most of us doesn't know how to breathe. Reasons unknown. I can only attribute the rest of our karma. It is the result of their karma. When they cannot breathe deeply, toxins and blockages begin to form. And these toxins become slow poison, affecting nerve centers, the neurons, which are very important, that carry life force all over the body, including brain, will not be able to function properly. Therefore, the first form of worship, the first form of yajna is to ignite the flames within the navel. When we ignite the flames within the navel, it dissolves the blockages that result from accumulated toxins in the body. When it is clear the blocks, the life force begins to properly flow into the all that nadis, 72,000, and then the sadhaka enjoy better physical and mental health. So then comes the word dhira, means wise. One who knows the limitations of the outward ritualist worship and inward reverence that flows from the heart, which impacts the reverence, has on the subtlety of the mind. Dhira is wise, also means then who has patience. Dhira also means that to understand that the inner yagnas bear the fruits because the offerings are unconditional to the Lord Agni, residing not outside, my dear, within the navel. Now, we continue tomorrow, but before that, we shall get into a small exercise. Be truthful in your answers so that we can find some remedy to each one of you, because we are really handling the most important thing in our lives, which can change our lives, which can transform our lives. If you ask me, what, my dear, you have taken in something 220, 230 classes to tell us this? Why didn't you tell me in the first day itself this? Sorry, my dear. I need to prepare you. Prepare the soil. So I have gone through so many recitings, Bhagavata, Saptashati, then Lalita Trishati. So, which has made us to understand some idea of the mind, some idea of Antakarana. Then the right time to place this Shiva Sankalpa into your mind.